I never thought I'd be the kind of woman to do what I did. But when the people closest to you twist love into a game, you start playing back, even if it destroys everything. It started the way most betrayals do. Quietly. Subtly. A glance held too long. A silence stretched too deep. A bed that grew too cold. My name is Alina. For 5 years, I was married to Damon. 5 years of what I thought was love, loyalty, and devotion. But looking back, maybe it was just habit dressed as love. I should have seen the truth sooner. The late nights, the growing distance, the way his eyes lingered on his phone more than on me. The signs were everywhere, but I ignored them. We used to talk for hours. Now, his words were clipped, distant. I'd tell him about my day, and he'd grunt in response. I'd wear lingerie to bed, and he'd roll over, uninterested. I blamed work, stress, the weight of life, anything but the truth. I was lonely. Painfully, desperately lonely. And that kind of loneliness, it does something to you. It makes you crave attention. Even the dangerous kind. That was when Jason and Malik started coming around more often. Damon's friends. So different from each other, yet both impossible to ignore. Jason had the kind of charm that was a slow burn, reckless and confident, a man who smirked like he already knew your darkest thoughts. Malik, on the other hand, was quieter. Dark eyes that followed me, sharp and knowing. The way he looked at me never felt accidental. At first, I told myself I was imagining it. But women always know. One night, Damon invited them over to watch the game. I wore something casual but fitted, something that hugged the right places, made me feel seen. And they noticed. Jason's gaze traveled over me, slow and deliberate. Malik didn't say much, but his stare said everything. I felt a spark. It scared me. It thrilled me. When I leaned over to grab a drink, Jason whispered, just low enough for me to hear. You shouldn't tease hungry men, Alina. I froze. My breath caught. He smiled, slow, sinful, then walked back to the couch like nothing had happened. And Damon. He didn't even notice. I laughed it off, pretending it didn't stir something deep inside me. But that night, I lay in bed wide awake while my husband slept soundly beside me. I burned with something I hadn't felt in years. Over the next few weeks, they came around more often. And each time, the air between us thickened. Jason was bold. One night, he cornered me in the kitchen, voice low, almost tender. You ever wonder if he really sees you? I didn't answer. Because I did wonder. Every single day. Malik was different. Subtle. A brush of his hand against mine. A glance that lingered just a second too long. It was like they were circling me, waiting. And I hated how much I liked it. I started wearing lipstick again. Checking my reflection before they came over. Craving the tension. And then came the night everything changed. It was raining. Damon invited them over again. I should have said no. I should have made up an excuse. But I didn't. I wore a silk robe. Nothing underneath. Told myself it was just to feel pretty. But we both know it was more than that. The moment they walked in, the air shifted. Jason's eyes darkened. Malik's jaw clenched. And Damon. For the first time in months, he really looked at me. Not with love. With something else. Possessiveness. Jealousy. Or was it permission? The rain blurred the windows, making the room feel like its own world, separate from reality. The TV was on, but no one was watching. I sat on the edge of the couch, silk clinging to my skin like it had been waiting for someone else's hands. Jason was on one side of the couch. Malik stood near the fireplace. Damon nursed his drink, watching me from across the room. Watching me like a man who knew something was about to happen. Jason smirked, leaning forward, elbows resting on his knees, eyes locked on me. You always look this good when your man's around. His voice was low. Challenging. I swallowed. Damon didn't flinch. Malik let out a quiet laugh. Maybe he likes to share. My breath hitched. I expected Damon to explode, to yell, to throw them out. But instead, he leaned back and took another sip of his drink. Jason stood. Walked toward me, slow and deliberate. I should have stopped him. But I didn't. My heart pounded. Not from fear. From desire. Desire that had been building for months. Jason knelt in front of me. His fingers brushed my knee. His voice, just a whisper. You want this? I looked at Damon. He didn't stop it. And that was the moment everything unraveled. Jason's hand slid up my thigh, slow, deliberate. Malik moved closer, his breath warm against my skin. And Damon, he just watched. Silent. Still. My robe slipped open slightly, the silk parting like it had been waiting for this. No one spoke. No one had to. The rules had been erased, the lines blurred. The air was thick, electric. I should have felt ashamed. I should have stopped it. I should have run. But I didn't. Because in that moment, I felt powerful. Desired. Worshipped. Not ignored. Seen. Jason's lips grazed my collarbone, teasing, tasting. Malik sat beside me, his fingers threading through my hair, pushing it back like he wanted nothing obstructing his view. My breath hitched. I glanced at Damon one last time, searching for something, anger, disgust, regret. But his expression was unreadable. Blank. But burning. Like he was testing himself. Testing me. Then, he nodded. Just once. Almost like permission. And after that, everything was chaos. Beautiful. Sinful. Irreversible. They didn't rush. They took their time, deliberate, controlled. It felt unspoken, like they had planned this, like they had been waiting for me to catch up. And Damon, he never left the room. He just watched. Not like a husband. Like a man witnessing something he had set in motion. You never forget the moment shame creeps in after pleasure. It waits, like smoke after a fire. And when it hits, it chokes you. When it was over, silence stretched between us, thick and suffocating. Jason stood first, fixing his shirt. Malik sat back, exhaling slowly. Damon remained where he was, still watching. I pulled my robe tight around me, suddenly cold, suddenly aware. I didn't feel powerful anymore. I felt exposed. Used. Not because of what they did. But because I had wanted it. Because I had let it happen. And Damon still hadn't said a word. Say something. My voice was barely a whisper. Damon looked up, slow, like he was dragging himself from another world. His eyes met mine, unreadable, distant. I didn't stop you. That's not the same as being okay with it. He stood, walked over, and looked down at me, his voice hollow, empty. You've been begging for attention. You just chose who you wanted it from. The words sliced through me. Not in anger, not in accusation. Just truth. And that hurt more than if he had screamed. Jason and Malik quietly excused themselves. No smirks now. No teasing remarks. Just the weight of what had happened pressing down on all of us. Damon sat beside me, his presence heavy. Did you do it for me to see? I didn't answer. Because if you did, I saw everything. Tears burned my eyes, spilling before I could stop them. Not because I regretted it, but because I didn't know why I had done it. To punish him. To feel wanted. To see if he still cared. Damon got up and walked toward the stairs. But before he disappeared, he turned back. Don't expect this to be over. You just started something you don't understand. After he left, I sat in the dark for what felt like hours. But then, my phone buzzed. A message. From Malik. That wasn't about you. Not really. Ask your husband what this was really about. My stomach dropped. My hands shook as I read it again. Not about me. I wanted to believe Malik was just stirring drama. But something in me knew he wasn't lying. I went upstairs. Damon was in bed, facing the wall. I stood there, watching the man I thought I knew, the man I had just betrayed, or maybe the man who had betrayed me first. What did Malik mean? My voice was soft, but it cut through the silence like a blade. Damon didn't answer right away. But when he did, my blood turned to ice. I owed them. I took a step back. What? He turned then, finally facing me. There was no guilt in his eyes. Only calculation. I borrowed money from Malik. A lot. When things got tight after my job, I didn't want to tell you. Jason handled the deal. They gave me more time. More chances than I deserved. The room spun. So, what? You offered me as payment. His silence was my answer. You watched them touch me. You sat there. You let it happen, like it was some kind of business transaction. Damon's eyes darkened. It wasn't about sex. Then what was it about? His lips curled slightly, the ghost of a smirk. Control. I felt sick. You want the truth. His voice was low, steady. I knew you'd cave. You've been aching for attention for months. I knew if I opened the door, you'd walk right through it. He tilted his head. You didn't betray me, Alina. You just proved me right. Something inside me shattered. I screamed. I grabbed the lamp from the nightstand and threw it across the room. The crash was deafening. I wanted to claw his face, to scream until my throat bled. But instead, I walked into the bathroom and locked the door. I looked in the mirror at a woman I didn't recognize. I wasn't a wife. I wasn't a lover. I was collateral. And the worst part. A piece of me had wanted it. That night, a part of me had enjoyed it. That was the cruelest twist of all. The next morning, I packed a bag. My hands trembled, my vision blurred. I didn't say goodbye. I didn't scream. I just walked out. I didn't know where I was going. I only knew I couldn't stay in that house. That prison. With that man. But just as I reached the door, Damon spoke. They'll call you. Jason. Malik. They liked you. I froze. He smiled. You're one of them now. I left that house with my heart in pieces. With my body still echoing with the memory of that night. But here's the question I can't stop asking myself. Was I a victim? Or a willing participant? And more importantly, if you were me, what would you have done? Because let's be honest. This isn't just a story about betrayal. It's about desire, control, power, and the things we do when no one is watching. Or when they are.